time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand. With your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Welcome back to another round of Brandy. When you think of brands, there's a lot of things you think of. You think of the logo, the color palette, and there's these slogans that have really stayed through decades and decades. And those could be jingles or just things you read.
Yeah, they're like associations you have. I mean, like you think of like a good neighbor.
Yeah, State Farm.
Or you do something much more ambiguous, like when you think of, wow, that's cause for celebration. We need to celebrate. Your mind mentally picks champagne, or you think of something like champagne.
Yeah.
Now, that may not be brand-specific champagne, but that's an idea where we as a culture adapt associations. Our mind has to grasp, that's how we cognitively think, I think, is that your brain is always making connections.
Yeah, especially with words. You have the opportunity to do some wordplay and hint at things, just like a jingle, like NBC's, like the tones, dun, dun, dun. There's play in that, right? And the same thing, your words are just as much sound. And so just like Pavlov's dogs with the bell ringing and the dog starts salivating, like we can be trained and conditioned to have certain reactions to things like Taste the Rainbow or The Ultimate Driving Machine, right? Or Just Do It. And there's things that they have a driving force behind them.
Yeah, well, we were talking about even a case where a brand takes its it takes its name, it's a noun, right, and turns it into either a verb or even like an adjective, like built Ford tough. It's not just built tough; it's built Ford tough.
That was one of their most successful campaigns that they did stick with, and they kind of come and go. You'll see these things kind of fade where they'll use them for a while and then they'll kind of change because they can be dependent on like ad campaigns, but overall the brand can adopt things. Like you think of Nike with Just Do It, or even Apple's Think Different, where it becomes almost like mantra that's ingrained in the brand. And I think that's part of it. Like from the strategy, the slogan is almost like birthed. And that's where I think the term slogan is a little bit misleading, because when we think of slogan, we think of these things that are really derived from
they're trite.
The Mad Men era of advertising, which used a lot of jingles, because you had radio and you had television and you had things like that where you did jingles were very, very successul. Or even like during baseball games, they'd play the jingle or whatever and do that. And that's why NBC and these guys would do that with their brands. But overall, the kind of birthing of, I would almost like when we work with clients, we do the strategy and the branding, but also from that, the birth of, we call them like hooks or like messaging, where like 3 or 5 good solid lines or little, I don't know, like I call them hooks, where just like in a song, you have a hook. A good song always has a hook.
It grabs you.
And you have something that can then, you can do ad campaigns based off that, or use it on your website, or use it as a header, or use it even for, press releases. You have something that's going to hook. And you could have, a handful of them that you can rotate in and out, but it's all birthed from the strategy, and it's all coming back to that main core.
Actually advance the brand or help the brand really resonate well with the audience.
When small businesses approach doing their slogans, they force it, where then it starts to become like those signs that people hang inside their house, where it's like family, love, dinner, or something like that, or they're like integrity,
there's no place like
honesty.
Home.
Yeah, no place like home. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but now let's look at what the diamond business did, De Beers, where their classic slogan was "A diamond is forever," which is so funny because they're the same ones, that family, that empire, who actually took over diamonds completely, and they actually created scarcity, because that diamonds actually aren't scarce as much as it's the supply that they're holding back from the market to create scarcity. So you think of, if you have an abundant product and you're creating scarcity, now your slogan is the reverse of that. You're selling something where a diamond is forever, right? You're selling the eternity of the love that it represents, or the relationship,
if it was
or the treasure.
A diamond is perishable. Now, okay, you're causing the expectation that you're going to have to go out and rebuy diamonds again constantly.
Keep doing it. And they're the same brand. I believe the De Beers brand was the same one that made up the whole, back in the day,
cut. There's something else. Carrots.
They've set these standards in place where you look at their slogan, the slogan forever. You should spend a lot on it. It's a huge investment. It's forever, right? And what it represents. So I think there's something to be said about going, okay, it's not just words you're smashing together and you're trying to make something that sounds good.
Yeah.
That reinforces the brand strategy. And like we've said before on previous episodes, like words are that powerful tool to get the strategy out there, to express the strategy and have it depicted in a certain way. And how I almost kind of map that out is that if you go, okay, strategy is over here on the left. Now the best way to do that is to express it through words, because words create association. If I'm describing something to you, the word choice I choose is going to form that picture in your brain. So the associations are being formed, which then create your perception. So if I'm describing someone in a poor light, that's going to change your perception of that person versus if I describe them in a good light. And there's actually a ton of psychological studies that back this up as well, is if I go, hey, Scott's a really nice guy. He kind of cheats on his taxes sometimes.
Wait, what?
That actually, people will discount the fraudulent activity of the person. And because I first started with a positive note, right? Yeah. I first shed light on, oh no, he's a good guy. He's a family guy.
Oh, he's a tax evader, but he's a really nice guy.
Right. And then, but no, actually, if you start with the negative, that actually.
Wait, why are we talking about like I'm a tax evader? I'm not.
So
why
IRS,
would you even
if you're
think
listening
that?
right now,
I'm
which
not.
you probably are. So that kind of goes in along the same thing of going, okay, if words are that powerful, if words create the associations, which then drive the perception, you need to take that into consideration with your brand and your business. And this also does give guidance for people how they describe your business as well. And I think that's where you kind of have to fill in the blanks a little. It's like playing Mad Libs, where it's like you can't leave so many blanks for your customers to fill in, where they're going to start throwing in these, oh, yeah, no, diamonds are perishable. No, diamonds don't last that long, right? It's like, no, diamonds are forever. You can't argue with that. It's built Ford tough. Well, what tough is that? What level of toughness is that, right? It creates this kind of open loop where then the person starts going, well, that must be pretty darn tough. That's a new level of tough.
Or it could be a weak level.
Or it could be a very weak
level. It could be the worst. It could be, like the
I mean, it's getting recalled.
The worst of,
didn't they just top out on their recalls again?
But it's the way they pitch it, obviously. But again, the same words, right? Like even just phrasing it leans back to Ford's strategy of how they're wanting to position themselves and viewed in the market space, is controlling that narrative and all the other narratives. But they all work cohesively. And that's the whole thing, is brand is not just one thing. It's it's an entire, ecosystem that surrounds your business. I mean, even to the smallest detail, like on business cards, the business title, because it helps speak into how they're perceiving your brand. Is it lighthearted? Is it speaking their language? Is it like, I don't even know what that title means. It's probably super technical in that industry, but not to the customer. Or is it for other business people? And maybe you need that. Like, those are the factors that, again, leaning into your strategy, what you're trying to be perceived by, all those that perceive your brand.
Right. And sometimes words can even help position if there is a flaw about your business or the offering, where a good example of this is finger licking good. And that's KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Is that one, right? Someone goes, gosh, it's so messy. Your fingers get covered. It's like, no, well, let's reframe that, right? Using words and say finger licking good. Is that now it's actually a good thing your fingers are covered.
You're licking your fingers.
You're licking your fingers. And the same thing with M&Ms to a degree, where M&Ms, I think theirs was melts in your mouth, not in your hands. So the thing there is that chocolate at the time, you didn't have as many candy covered, right? You just had sheer chocolate.
Well, let's
so
wait.
Melty.
Let's just.
Who's holding chocolate that long, anyways? Like, why are you just holding on to chocolate?
But the thing is that it's the chocolate doesn't melt in your hands. Now the candy coating, the ink, the color, the food coloring on the M&Ms, that melts in your hands. I guarantee you, if you hold it.
Not
handful of M&Ms, after about 5 minutes, you're going to have some green and maybe a little bit of spots of yellow or red.
And the power of that is that, so in sales, there's a tactic called the pratfall effect. This is a psychological heuristic where you essentially, if you admit a fault, we've talked about this before, is that if you admit a fault, if you go, sometimes I'm always too early to things. Like I'm always kind of there. And so sometimes before meetings, I'll get there, 15 minutes early. And sometimes I'll just wait or read or prep before the meeting. but I'd really like to meet with you and yada, 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 right? It's like you admit these faults and you actually gain more trust. You gain better interest by the, not opponent, but the other side of the table. And so you can do these things as a brand as well, as that if you go, hey, sometimes, the food is messy, but it's that good, right? Well, it's just like with lobster feeds and stuff like that. It's the same kind of framing
Or it
of
could be a thing like a long wait. Like if you're a takeout, or I mean, I look at like In-N-Out. You go to sometimes if you hit an In-N-Out, drive-through, you will see like there's like 30 cars in line. They've got like this snake track working through the parking lot with all bunch of cones and all these lanes of traffic that they've got it down. But it's so funny because that's something that like, or other places where you've got a long wait time to get in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an inconvenience for a lot of people, but the brand can speak into that as being there's a reason for that.
Heineken's most successful campaign, which I think they've actually stuck with it for very long, is that Heineken was not a favorite for a long time because the head on the beer would take so long for it to go down. And so guys would go to the bar, they would actually not order Heineken because they didn't want to wait that long. They wanted their beer. And bartenders couldn't do much about it. It was just the way Heineken was made. And so Heineken did a full campaign that was good things come to those who wait. And that they stuck with that. And then it changed, right? They reframed the entire thing of, oh no, you're waiting because the beer is that good. It's crafted. You're going to savor it more. Actually, I just remembered it was Guinness who did that campaign, that good things come to those who wait. And then actually Heineken saw that, and years later they kind of copied the campaign with a similar one about waiting. Kind of funny. And kind of like along the lines of reframing, it kind of makes me think of like MasterCards, which is there are some things money can't buy, but for everything else there's MasterCard. Which it's actually, for the length of it, I actually really like it. Like
it is a mouthful though.
It's a mouthful, but I like it. But if you think about what they're insinuating, like the connotation of it is actually really funny. Some things money can't buy because you don't have any. So then you have to use credit to buy it, and for credit, use MasterCard, right? So it's like it's almost saying, hey, money can buy everything, right? You can buy everything with money, but sometimes you don't have enough money to buy something, so you got to use credit. You got to go in debt. So them saying that is that, oh, use MasterCard. So it's kind of funny the way they were framing it of going, no, credit is good, debt is good. Use our credit, and you can pay us instead of paying the vendor. So overall, I think when we look at going, okay, if we develop an awesome strategy, right? The logo, the brand identity, the color palette, the textures, the patterns, the imagery, all that needs to back it up and help depict that strategy. And that can be done through mood, imagery, just visual cues, right? And we're very good at that because humans are very visual. But going beyond that is the messaging, and those are the words, the word selection, how you say things on your website. The like we're saying here, these hooks or this kind of messaging, or these, you could say slogans, I'll allow it. But but being able to go, okay, how are we choosing these words, and what are we mapping along that path? And
is it distinctive enough? You're not just saying
hope, family, love.
Yeah, or
eat, pray, love.
Or I hate the most common one. It's like owned and operated, like family owned and operated, or something like that's a positioning statement that attaching to the business. But it's like, okay, I know a lot of dysfunctional families. I know a lot of dysfunctional businesses, and that again, making those claims, is it distinctive enough that everyone, is it positioning you, making you distinctive, and is it something you can back, and is it unique?
Right, and it's something people care about. Even like Walmart.
Yeah.
Save money, live better. You see it on their trucks. You see it on their ads. You see it everywhere, right? Save money, live better. That's Walmart. Walmart had been the largest retailer in the world. It's now second largest, falling right behind Amazon. But you just summed up the entire company in save money, period, live better, period. And that's like, that justifies their economic pricing, that justifies how they handle vendors, that justifies everything. And it has to tie back into that, or you're not working in the same kind of path of kind of where your strategy is pushing you.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said about just the words we choose and how we do that. And when you do actually, like I was saying, the associations, that's not just, okay, your brain is connecting certain words in certain ways, but it's literally if you look at across cultures and across countries who speak different languages, the brain literally fires differently because they're using different words, because words help with timeline, with tenses, with all these things that people kind of, we take for granted. But by choosing certain words, we can elevate a conversation. We can make it more casual. We can make it more friendly, and just kind of go from there. Yeah. And it's like, I think a great example of this is Apple. Like we talk about, where Apple is this high-tech, sexy brand, and yet their nomenclature, that's a fancy word for naming and name selection, their word choice on their website, their messaging is all casual and personable. I'm like, how do you have a company that large and that sophisticated, and they're using
technical.
Yeah, and very technical. And you only see the technical stuff when you scroll all the way down or look and you see the specs of the products. But they make it so friendly and approachable. And I'm like, that alone is a great example of this huge contrast. But yeah, there's something to be said. A fun fact about the Nike one is that rumor has it is that the Nike slogan, "Just Do It," comes from, it was some guy on death row, and he was in the chair to be electrocuted, and his final words, he looked over at the guy over at the switch. This is the lore.
I'm not laughing at the situation, but like,
you can laugh.
Nike would go, yeah, that's what we want to tell people. Like that.
Well,
that was the origin.
This is apparently where the founders and the guy looked at the guy
rebellion
next to the light switch to turn on the chair, and he said, "Just do it." And that's the lore behind it. Which
I don't know.
And then the Nike guys were like, "Heck yeah."
No, because it's not, because that right there is like almost like a let's get this over with type of command, whereas they were trying to say like, nothing's holding you back. Like you're the one holding yourself back. Just do it.
That's like exercising.
Just do it.
It's like whatever, an ice bath or running a marathon. Just do it. Get it over with. Stop complaining.
An ice bath. The electric chair. Look.
So when Scott's on death row for tax evasion.
What?
Do they do that anymore? Do they do death row? I don't know if it's a thing anymore. So what are your thoughts on Red Bull's Red Bull gives you wings? Gives you that, because that's completely, to me, that's such an abstract.
It's interesting because to me, Red Bull has two sides to it as a brand. There's the public consumption of Red Bull and as marketed by their advertising. A lot of times they would show people like in an office environment, slugging through the day and then having a pick me up. Now it's got me. Yeah. Now I've got wings, right, or whatever. But then Red Bull is behind the extreme sports and that side of it, which is a complete. You don't see that. I don't see the wings presence of the brand, that communication, that narrative. Yeah, I don't see that on all the things that it does that is gearing into the extreme sports association. So that's, to me, almost two different marketing strategies that are running parallel, right? They're working together, but there is a crossover. And so that's what it's interesting. So like I just think of it, Red Bull gives you wings as being the TV spots.
That's their messaging for the consumer, and then their marketing, the extreme sports, the F1 car, all these things. It's F1 team. They're actually one of the first companies to get an F1 team, and they specifically named their team. I think it's called like the Red Bulls or the Running Bulls or something like that. So they had a direct connection to the brand. Most brands just put their logos all over race cars, but they message Red Bull gives you wings to the consumer side, like Scott's saying, and then everything else is almost a visual portrayal or representation of that, right? Whether it's a guy doing backflips or doing whatever, but
they're on wings.
They already got wings,
but it's not plastered everywhere. They're working in tandem to get you the same association, but they're working through different methodologies.
Yeah. So I think it can be something as literal as, finger looking good that relates back to the product, right? You can be talking about the product and the, not just the benefits, but just the feeling it could give.
Like Bounty, it's the quicker picker-upper. So when I have to pick up something quickly, a spill, something, whatever it is, I need fast, I need super absorbent, I need quick. And Bounty used that, and so that's kind of it sets up the expectation, the consumer's going to have with the brand.
Well, and even the word choice of picker-upper, I think that this gets into like category design. Is that why certain companies will use different words? Like we talked about previously on an episode, was Apple not saying MP3 player and saying iPod. That's called category design, where you break from the category. You do like a lateral move over to a different category, or you invent a category and you call it something else, right? And so even calling it a picker-upper, it's like, how else do you describe a
paper towel,
right? It's like, oh, an absorbent. No, it's not a sponge.
It's a liquid picker-upper.
It's a liquid. It's like a lesser towel, but then it's not a sponge, but it acts like a sponge. So then how do you describe that? Oh, it just picks up, right? It's not a vacuum though. So it's kind of, it's interesting they chose that, and it rhymes. That's alliteration and rhyming are huge for word success. Yeah, so think about the words you choose. Think about how you're describing things, how you're portraying things. Just as much you think about your logo and you think about the images and the photography, it's like, think about the words. That holds power, because that is your bridge to the associations and to the perception.
Yeah, it is. It becomes the link that people have with that visual representation of your brand, your logo.
Alrighty, we'll be back with another episode next week. Cheers.
Cheers.